the second round. Let's look at our second round rules. Same as the first round. Everything just gets double. The stakes are raised times 2. Great take gives you 400 points. A good take gives you 200 points. An okay take gives you 100. And a bad take, you once again come home empty-handed with 0 points. So let's move on to the city of brotherly love, where there wasn't a whole lot of love between the San Francisco 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles. San Francisco, following their loss in the NFC Championship game, go into Philadelphia and win 42-19. They end up scoring not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 straight touchdowns on 6 straight possessions. Absolutely dominated the Eagles from start to finish. And the Niners, I think we would generally agree, maybe not across the board, I won't speak for everybody here, but are probably today the best team in the NFC. It feels like Dallas and Philly are kind of chasing those or that team. But I'll ask you first. I'll start with you, Mike. Did the Philadelphia Eagles in this loss, because we know they played a lot of close games lately, did they get a little bit exposed?
No, I don't think that they got exposed. I think this game had less to do. It said less about where the Eagles are and more about where the 49ers are. Listen, I think San Francisco right now, to me, they're the best team in football. They just are. Okay. They're blowing out really, they're not blowing out Seattle, right? They're blowing out Dallas. They're blowing out the Eagles. They're blowing out the 3rd, 4th, 5th best teams in the league. And listen, everybody kind of lost faith in them when they lost 3 straight. But listen, I said it from the beginning. When they lost Trent Williams and they lost Deebo Samuel, it threw out a dynamic in their offense that just couldn't be replicated, right? All this pre-snap motion that they were doing with Deebo Samuel, the blindside protection that Trent Williams was giving you was lost. Brock Purdy became a quarterback that all of a sudden needed to play consistently under pressure. So I think right now this is a brilliantly coached football team. As far as personnel is concerned, their offensive personnel is phenomenal. I know that people are kind of bogging on them a little bit because they lost Talanoa Hufanga. But listen, on the defensive side of the football, when you add Chase Young and you add him to Nick Bosa, and you've got linebackers like Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, that this is just an incredible roster. That they're playing better football than anybody in the league right now. They're blowing out their stiffest competition. To me, San Francisco is, the biggest thing. So no, I don't think that the Eagles got exposed. I think they know how to win ugly. This was just one of these games where San Francisco's playing really, really hot right now.
And here's a crazy stat about the 49ers. You mentioned that this is what they do to great teams. If you include their games against Dallas, Philadelphia, and let's include the Jacksonville Jaguars with a healthy Trevor Lawrence, themselves coming off of a bye, you combine those final scores, it's 49ers 118, the other 3 opponents 32. So they absolutely obliterate the stiffest competition in the NFL. Like you mentioned, I do agree. It's it's definitely the best roster in the league. If Brock Purdy is your weak link, you're a pretty good football team. It's fair to say. We'll get to Brock Purdy in our final segment. Mike Guida, I'm going to give you a great take there. I'm going to give you the full 600 points. I do think there were some aspects, though, of Philly that were exposed to a certain degree, but you could certainly make the case, and I would agree with you that a lot of it had more to do with Philadelphia. I'm sorry, with San Francisco's dominance than Philadelphia's ineptitude. Now to you, Barry Grant Jr. And by the way, full disclosure for all of you out there watching or listening, we got Cowboys fans across the board here amongst our contestants. So I am in no way implying that there's a little bit of bias, but maybe just a little bit, but we're not going to penalize it because I want real and honest takes. To Barry Grant Jr., did the Eagles get exposed in this 42-19 drubbing against the Niners?
Absolutely, they got exposed. Of course it is. They've been flying by the seat of their pants for weeks. They were in dogfights with the Commanders, dogfights with all these garbage teams in the league. If it wasn't for Dak Prescott's big ass foot, they'd have lost to Dallas too. So this is the problem: is that what we saw in that 49ers game was complete domination by the 49ers, but it was bound to happen to the Eagles because they've been playing like this for weeks. They've been playing like shit for weeks. Also, I'm going to have to disagree with Mike. Although I do agree with him in regards to certain aspects of the 49ers that are the best roster and they're the best, playing like the best team right now, they actually played 2 of the most perfect football games against 2 of the best teams in the NFC. They played great against the Cowboys. They played a great game against the Eagles, right? But all the other games, they've looked pretty decent, but they played their best games against those 2 teams. Are they as good as they played against those guys, or are they kind of just more average towards where they've been playing the entire season? I think it's more where they've been the whole season, regards to those 2 microcosm games. So I don't really believe that those two situations are they're like an outlier or whatever it is, or that's the norm. That's not the norm for them. They played their perfect games against those two teams, and shouts to them. But it was the Eagles. They had this coming. They've been flying by the seat of their pants. That tush-push garbage, get it out of here. Ban it. When they can't be able to do that particular offense, they look mid. That offense looked mid, and they're going to continue to look mid as the season goes on.
I've always been in the mindset, and this is easy for me to say as a 5'7" podcaster from Tennessee, but yeah, I've always been in the mindset that if you don't like it, stop it. But it looks like Goodell, you're probably going to get your wish. Goodell's probably going to ban it when it's all said and done.
Ban it.
You and all those who hate the brotherly shove or tush push or whatever, they're probably going to get your wish. I will say, though, in defense of the 49ers, you mentioned they play their best against the best competition. Well, that's what you're going to be seeing in the playoffs. Right. So they are going to be battle tested once January rolls around. All that said, though, I don't totally agree with you, but I did think it was a great take by Barry Grant Jr. So I'll give him the full 400 points there. Great take by Barry. Finally, with you, Ryan, did the Eagles in this loss to San Francisco get a little bit exposed?
I think they did to a certain extent. I feel the way the 49ers play their style of football, it's a bully ball. Like they're coming in, they're kicking your teeth in, and they're leaving you with your guts on the side of the road. And I know I got really graphic there, but they got outplayed, man. Like literally 49ers did not care. And I think we thought that, at least I thought Philadelphia was a little bit more physical, but come to find out, they really weren't that physical. Between Carter and Davis in the middle, they were getting bullied by Trent Williams and the rest of that offensive line. I think in another aspect too, the Eagles are not hitting offensively on all cylinders. Like we've seen that throughout the course of the year. And I think it showed a little bit, especially this past weekend when you're playing another top tier team. And the Niners just, listen, I've kind of succumbed to this all year, I guess, in professional football. They're the best team this week for sure, because for all we know, they can come out next week and stink it up, right? But like to Barry's point, they've dominated some of the best teams in the National Football League, and they still got some more work to do. They still got Baltimore at the end of this month. Like you said, they destroyed the Cowboys. They destroyed the Eagles. They destroyed Trevor Lawrence earlier this season in Duval County. But back to the Eagles, I think they did get a little bit exposed. I kind of knew it a little bit because the way they've been living life on the edge, like Barry said, it was bound to happen. Now, are they a bad football team? No, but they're not the same football team they were last year. And I think a lot of people still see the Eagles as this like juggernaut on offense and even a juggernaut on defense, but they've been exposed in several forms of fashion throughout this year. Like Sam Howell is throwing over 300-400 yards on them, right? Obviously, so again, to come back, they're not a bad team. Are they as good as we thought they were? They're probably not. And I think they've come down a lot, but listen, they lost their coordinators, both of them, right? Offensive, defensive coordinators. So something has to come from that as well, right? And then you got the security guy, but that's a whole nother issue in itself. He got exposed for, I don't even know how he has a job. I thought he was there to deliver pizzas for whatever reason. So, but he wasn't, obviously.
15 seconds, Ryan.
Yeah, you're good. But other than that, I think they did get exposed.
Yeah, they did, and I'll go ahead and put up your point total because I've given you a great take here, Ryan. So back-to-back great takes to start your 8 o'clock spot career. Congratulations. But part of the reason I gave you a great take is you brought up a point that I was waiting for somebody to bring up, is the fact that yes, the Eagles have been kind of flying by the seat of their pants to a certain degree, but and you hit on the offense has been up and down, but by and large, especially the second half of their games, their offense has been clicking. Jalen Hurts' second half numbers are off the charts. Their defense and their secondary in particular have been abysmal from start to finish. I mean, I remember I'm not a big overreact to week one type of guy. It's an 18-week season, long, a lot of things can happen. But I remember sounding the alarm bells when Mac Jones, no offense, Barry, when Mac Jones threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, it was just going up and down the field in this team. I'm like, what's going to happen when they face the real quarterbacks, the actual starting quarterbacks? And it hasn't gotten better. And they've tried to address it. They added Kevin Bynard, and it just really hasn't materialized. So that's something that doesn't look like it's going to get fixed anytime soon. Let's look at the comments here. Fang McFrost says, if the Eagles defense plays like this against Dallas, Dak is going to have a field day. Well, I anticipate that's very likely, Fang. And then Tyler Helton says, yo, what's up, Tyler? Everybody, of course, who wants to make their thoughts and opinions known in the comments, be sure to do